because what we do is so important to our end customer. They need to know if their product is going to be delivered on time.
Sure.
Our product is minutely the cost is such a small portion of the cost of what they're making. Okay. And so, but it can hold up millions of dollars of time on their end. If they're going to shoot a booster of satellites, a rocket of satellites into the sky, and they're waiting on 5 yards of fabric, then I'm their problem.
Sure.
And I'm costing them millions of dollars a day. So we have, our relationship is our buyers. And so we were trying to look for a way to give them assurances that we're on track, that we have their order, it's moving forward, and you can relax and you can worry about your other stuff, because we should be the smallest problem, or we shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you for joining the Missing Out podcast, where we're discovering what's missing in manufacturing and B2B marketing. Today, I'm on location in New York with a very special guest from Stern Engineered Woven Substrates. Brian Morrell is an accomplished professional who is an operations COO at Stern. Brian, thank you for joining us today.
It's great to be here.
So, Brian, when we think about manufacturing, we're in the heart of New York. We're way far from the city. We're out in the middle of nowhere. It is very cold, a lot of snow, but isn't this kind of where manufacturing happens? It's not in the big cities. It's out in the hinterland, as it were, out in the outskirts. This is where American manufacturing happens.
Very much so. That's where my whole career is, in the outskirts.
Sure. So you've come up through textiles. You have a big storied career. Working in a lot of textile manufacturing, and that had landed you here in New York in an environment where you're dealing with very, very niche industrial fabrics. Maybe just give us a little bit of a background about what Stern Engineered Woven Substrates is all about.
Stern Engineered Woven Substrates is a manufacturer of technical woven fabrics. That means nothing to most people. Right. I tell my friends and family, it's what makes things work. What we do makes allow planes to fly, satellites to be launched, and various other industrial applications. So we make technical fabrics that go into things that are machinery industrial based.
One of the things that amazes me about the product line that you guys have and the breadth of it, I mean, you have products that are used in the aerospace industry that help us fly planes, launch rockets, go to space. And that's on kind of like one end. On the other end, you guys manufacture fabrics that can be used for wound care, for burn victims that are as light as a butterfly's wing. That just shows the level of complexity and breadth of what you can accomplish here in Cornell, New York.
Right. Yeah. We're a 137-year-old company that started in silks, and then has developed over time, changed products, and has got into some really interesting markets.
Excellent. So, Brian, one of the things we like to talk about in the Missing Out podcast is maybe what's missing in our strategies or what we've learned that was missing. And I know you've recently gone through some changes in the way you're going to market. You had, when you came into business here, Stern Engineered Woven Substrates was focused through a sales rep channel, and you guys have disassociated yourself from that channel and are going more with the direct to market approach. Maybe if you would talk us through how you got there, well, why you identified that as maybe something was missing in your strategy, and maybe why you are now approaching the market directly.
When I came into the business, which was just 3 years ago, sure. It's again another 137-year-old company and not much change. And we were operating on the sales concept strategy. And I gave it some time.
Sure.
I don't, I don't like to go into businesses and make huge change. So I wanted to analyze and see, what works, what doesn't work. Um, the sales rep model I had experience with in previous business, more apparel based, shirtness in sales, and I've always questioned the value of of how that works and whether it brings additional sales or is it just maintenance of the accounts that you have, right? So as far as Stern engineered woven substrates goes, we had long-standing field reps, um, and it was looking at the numbers. It's and looking at the data. It was kind of market maintenance, I guess, or account maintenance. And I've learned over the years that it needs to be more. And also, from my experience as a buyer of industrial product, uh, I I don't want to pay for layers as a consumer of supplies. We buy yarn, we buy we buy the raw materials.
Sure.
And you want the best price. Our customers want the best price. They want technical knowledge more so in this business than any other business that I've worked in. And our reps were the good guys. Uh, they didn't have the technical knowledge to answer the questions, and so one of the key indicators was we would get a lot of meetings with customers to answer the technical questions.
To do the sales job.
To do right, right. We would every inquiry from the customers would be just forwarded on an email to us as a team internally. But as a buyer myself, I want to deal with someone that has answers. I want it quicker. The world is moving faster than ever. We're an old legacy type company, but we need to be past, right? And so the people we deal with this is a very technical industry. People are smart. Engineers have very direct questions. They know what they want usually. They don't know exactly how to get it. So we're the solutions-based company. To have the answers, they need to talk to someone that has the knowledge.
Certainly. And I think we're seeing that across industries. The rep groups were very valuable 30, 40 years ago because connecting with people was hard. And those relationships were valuable because they could go out to find people, have those relationships, and degrees the wheel set. In today's day and age, with computers, AI, the internet, etc., we are one click away from any supplier in the world. And that gives us the advantage of not needing those layers, as you called them, and certainly those cost layers that don't add value.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, people want the relationship.
Sure.
Right? And that's what I'm trying to build internally.
Sure.
And I want our customers to be able to call. Every one of my emails had my cell number on it. We deal with customers around the world, and I want them to call me. And to be able to call a COO of a company that's making something that's very important to them as value, to be able to call one of my team members that has the technical knowledge to answer the questions, because I'm not the guy. I'm not necessarily the guy for that, and I admit to it. It's invaluable, I think. And as a consumer myself, I want to make one call, get an answer, and then have direction to move forward with whatever I'm working on.
Well, I think that's also an important aspect from the standpoint that you guys are not just a manufacturer, you guys are a solutions provider. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the folks that call you, it's not one click, that quick. They're buying off the shelf. These engineers are pushing the limits of what material science and production capabilities, right? They're innovating.
Right.
And they want a partner who's also able to not just off the shelf send them this industrial fabric. It's like, could we achieve X if Y? Right. And then your team is there to hypothesize, right, and right, think through that solution. And that's where I think, isn't that where the relationship really occurs? Because it's when you're in the trenches with someone and you work hard to solve a problem, that's where the real relationship starts to develop. And the fact that you're there for them, you answer their questions, are strung with.
Right. Absolutely. And as in a business, you always want to sell what you make, right? And we do a lot of that, sure, right? But a lot of that took years of development.
Oh, sure.
And our intellectual property is locked up in fireproof safe of hundreds. We're 100, like I said, 137-year-old company.
Sure.
We have 130 years of formulas, recipes, and that's generally everything's kind of already been made in our business, but maybe not dialed in exactly right.
Well, one of the things that full disclosure, you're one of our clients, so we've been doing work for you guys for a number of years. And one of the things that amazed me is we built an online configurator for Stern engineered love and substrates that allows kind of ideation on the website to combine different materials and different aspects. I'm sure that's like a very high funnel type of thing. Like, when the engineers call your experts, they're going a level's way deeper. However, that kind of gives everybody a kind of like bookends of what you currently are offering. And it just amazed me how many variables there were in what you're able to do. So I'm sure while there's nothing new under the sun, as it were, the combination and tweaking of those different variables can probably produce tremendously different outputs.
That's right. What you built for us is the most effective manufacturing marketing tool I've ever seen, and the most probably used website.
Nuts.
And there's nothing fancy about it.
No.
We are tremendously private about what we do, and what we do, who we do that for. And when I first came into the business, I was really surprised that all of our information is on that website. And it's an interesting strategy, and that came from our current owner. And it tells our competitors what we do, but it's also telling engineers what we do, and that's the key. And it says toggles. It's not fancy,
No.
but it has toggles for what you're looking for. If it's the content, the porosity, thickness, right? It has material, has all those parameters, and it gives you an answer.
Yep.
And it says it's maybe the fabric for you, and it becomes the foundation from which we can build from. And a lot of times engineers, most of the time, if someone's working on a new project, they have been on our website doing the toggle and figuring out, hey, these guys might have something that works.
Sure.
And it's interesting because I am contracted to be super secret, but meanwhile everything is all there. And I was really kind of torn by the messaging there, but it didn't take a few weeks before I realized that this is a
I think that there is a challenge and a balancing act that we're all trying to figure out, which is information everywhere so that people can find it, whether it's through SEO, like through the traditional search engines. We're now making information available to AI because the new way people are going to specify projects and products is, hey, AI, I need to get this. Where should I go? How do I evaluate it? And I'm sure the fonts every day are becoming much more granular and specific. So there's balancing, making information available, but then also protecting IP.
right.
And that, I don't think anybody has the answer. I think Stern, I think the decisions that Peter Thornton made and the strategic direction he gave to build that application. I don't know if it was risky or not. I wasn't really involved in that part of the conversation, but it's worked out. And so I believe it hasn't violated or distributed your intellectual property too much because we weren't asked to take it down a week later.
Yeah, in an area that gives a solution, but it doesn't tell you how we get there.
Correct.
Right. So it's very much the end product will look like this or do this. You have to have the attributes, but it's not telling you how we get there.
Yeah, it's more of the art of the possible. This is possible. And let's be very clear. The tool is simple, it's direct, but it is not comprehensive. It defines what's possible, and then they're going to have to contact one of your people to get the next level or receive the RFP or whatever the item is for the spec. But I think that was a great application, and it's been fun to watch that the volume of activity on that online application increase over the years. I think let's get back to this relationship topic because I think it's very important. And recently, you guys have built what I think is a relationship tool where you're trying to communicate with your clients in a more meaningful way and make sure that they understand where their order is. There's nothing, this is not high science. This is not like but we didn't have to go to a conference together and figure this out. It was like, here's a problem. Our clients are not getting as much information as we would like them to have, or that they might like to have about the status of their order. And we work with your team to build an application. There's a relationship application. It's communicating to them where their order is in process, updates regularly, kind of a progress spectrum so they can see how it progresses, not in every stage of your production, but the ones that are important to them. Maybe talk about the genesis of that idea, why we did it, and what you're seeing as an outcome of that, like basically improve the goal to improve client relationships.
Very deliberate effort because we're all consumers.
Sure.
And if it doesn't matter what industry you're in, but we're all now professional consumers. Right? We always have been, I guess.
Sure.
Right. We've been spoiled by the Amazon and the Domino's, and this was it was me and the owner talking. It was his idea originally to bring something consumer oriented into what we do, into industrial supply chain application. I've been somewhat fascinated that recently, or within the last few years, that you can buy a pizza and they will tell you when the dough's being made and when it's going into the oven. And so me and Mr. Thornton would have a conversation about, does that matter? How does that make you feel?
Sure.
And we started talking around this idea of why don't we bring that to what we do? No one else would, because we're industrial and we're not end consumer oriented, but all of us are end consumers trained on how to make, and we expect that. We want to know where our package is. And so multiple conversations about how we both agree this would be pretty awesome. It's a great way because what we do is so important to our end customer. They need to know if their product is going to be delivered on time.
Sure.
Our product is minutely the cost is such a small portion of the cost of what they're making. Okay. And so, but it can hold up millions of dollars of time on their end. If they're going to shoot a booster of satellites, or a rocket of satellites into the sky, and they're waiting on 5 yards of fabric, then I'm their problem.
Sure.
And I'm costing them millions of dollars a day. So we have, our relationship is our buyers. And so we were trying to look for a way to give them assurances that we're on track, that we have their order, it's moving forward, and you can relax and you can worry about your other stuff because we should be the smallest problem. Well, we shouldn't be a problem. We should be a problem. We shouldn't be a thought. We should be ahead of them, right? So they bought a pizza from us, and so we called it the pizza app. And and I'm good at naming things, something really simple. But right now it's a pizza app, and we'll probably get sued from Domino's. Yeah, or maybe get some type of affiliate partnership or UGTD or that we'll split the fee. But but we wanted to get ahead of their questions and give them assurances that their product is actually on track for on-time delivery.
But I think there's a couple of things I want to unpack in this conversation. Number one, I think it's very forward thinking for a 137-year-old manufacturing company to recognize that industrial buyers are humans too. And not only are they humans, I feel like everybody behaves more like a consumer, no matter what level of education, expertise, age, whatever. We're all conditioned. So with our thumb and our voice, we should have access to everything we want. So I think that was an incredible foresight or intuition into buyer behavior. The second thing I think that's very important there is, I think in the industrial community, we get sucked into this ERP level investment for everything we need to do. Because I've seen projects like this where it's like, oh, well, before we do that, we have to get a new ERP and then we have to go back and, our data is terrible out. And it becomes a 4-year process and hundreds, if not millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. And we did this, I would almost say, grassroots, bootstrapped for a very modest budget in a short time period and won.
But I was there with our systems won't support it. That was my initial answer to this would be great, but our systems won't support this. And I will, I like to be a problem solver.
Sure.
But it took me some weeks to try to figure out how do we change our systems? And I being a manufacturing guy, I went right into the systems. There's gotta be a way. And we could upgrade our system and and we could do that. I didn't want to do that. No. I give it to your team and to continue the conversation of how is this possible and simplifying it.
Sure.
And I'm all about trying to make difficult things simple to solve problems. And but I was there and we somehow got moved out of there. And it's such a simple system. I also did not want a system I call it an app. I call it Beat App, right? Sure. I didn't want an app that required more labor because we are thin. I mean, we business,
Morrell business is thin.
Small business is thin, right? And so I wanted something that was going to help our customer service, but not create more work. So I didn't need data entry. I did, we got enough of that with the systems we got and their production systems and all our traceability that we have to have. And so it had to be simple enough with no labor. Yeah. Right. And I didn't think we'd get there, but we got there,
and it shocked me how, I think in that early stage, we had some of that problem definition and we had some of that infrastructure conversation that I was concerned as well that we were not going to get over that hurdle. However, I think this simplification conversation or topic, label you're putting on it, is going to be even more relevant in application of AI tools. Because now we have tools that have infinite horsepower, so the labor is kind of removed. But then we still have to envision what we want it to do and then have it work with our current tools. Because the answer of the next 5 years for every manufacturing company is not going to be, invest $1 million in a new ERP and $1 million in your data room or your data lake. And then we can start to realize AI and online application and app development that can improve our experience with our customers who are consumers. It has to be, we have to be able to simplify this and figure it out. The folks who do that will win. The folks who simplify it and start mooning it, as opposed to re-engineering this whole structure, with the SaaS guys won't like it as much because they want to sell ERP. But I think to circle back to the pizza app. Yep. I think there was tremendous foresight and strategic vision by your organization of where you wanted to go. And in a relatively short time period with a modest budget, we were able to get there. And, we used our dev team, which we have a deep bench, that there were multiple people that we didn't have you guys interact with that were involved in that process, right? That did a great job. There was fine tuning. There was a lot of testing at the end and minor modifications. But I think there was something that we have customers of Stern engineered woven substrates that feel more like a consumer and less like this 137-year-old industrial complex relationship. Right. And do you know how I judge the effectiveness of it? Is it how many pizzas we have to give away for free if they're late? No, I don't know.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Sure.
But then I realized that a successful launch of this my fear was that people were gonna hate it. They didn't want basically it sends an email to the buyer, right? So the thing sends an email to the buyer saying, "We have your order. It's been through these processes, and it's moving forward." And it's like a train track or a progress bar, right? And it shows where we are in the process. My fear was that our customer would say, "I don't need the email," right? Mm-hmm. I got my measure of success, knowing now what I know now, was 0 feedback. I got 0 complaints. And then I did get the feedback I got was, "Hey, can you add Mary to this on the email chain?" And we can, as you know, we can email multiple people within an organization. And so I got 0 negative comments, and I had clients and customers that wanted to be added to the chain. And to be added to an email chain in this world with our boxes, who they are, was proven acceptance of what we were trying to do.
Then that's a great sampling of, okay, we have valuable information. It was valuable to that person, and it was also valuable to other people that they were able to accept more volume in the inbox. That's a compliment, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I expected some negatives, and I got 0 negatives. And it's fun because it's semi-manual. I can control, we can control the frequency of our updates somewhat. It's a weird combination, as you know, and I'm not going to get into the secret sauce. Sure. Right. Yeah. But it is automatic. Mm-hmm. But I have some controls on it. And today we might have, last night I haven't checked. We might have sent out 100 update emails. And that's 100 as to explain it to people. That's touching our customer 100 times.
Sure.
And they want that. Yeah. Which is amazing, right? And so I wish I had checked before this recording of this podcast. Over the weekend I checked. I think we did 125 emails on Friday, I think.
Right.
And they're all separate orders, and they're all separate. Yeah, they're all distinct orders for updates.
That's great.
And so it's pretty amazing. But we're touching our customer every day, and a lot of it it takes no effort for us to do that now.
No, that's amazing. And I think when we look at the mid-market, right, because you're a mid-market manufacturer, you're not Fortune 500 company that has $1 billion IT, and so it's grassroots. It's gritty. We have to cobble things together, and that's most of the market, right? Let's be honest. That's most of it. And I think the ingenuity and innovative approach is so important. And as we look forward to AI and its impact on what we're doing, I think, and you and I had a little bit of this conversation pre-show, is about, there's people, there's process, and there's tools. And I think one of the things you just said about the PTAP that's so important is we have a tool that's following a process, but we have not removed the people element from it. And I think that's something that's missing right now in a lot of conversations about AI. I hear a lot of companies, and we're doing a ton of R&D in AI, where how can we get something to automatically do this? An AI agent to be sentient and make decisions around this. And there may come a time where that futuristic dystopia is sort of true. However, today, all of the work we do with AI, we mandate that our team absolutely has a filter. Well, that's where we're at with this app, right? Is that it's automatic, but we have control of it, and that I think wherever we are with it, yeah, but the same. That's what you're saying, right? Same thing. Because it can move it so quickly. It can, and that was my fear. That was my biggest fear going in. What if this thing is giving out bad information? Sure. Right? What if it says something is on track and it's not on track? And so I'm incredibly honest, for sure. I'm very open. I like to be open and honest, right? And the last thing I want to do is tell a customer something that's not real. I mean, that was my fear. I was scared to go forward unless I knew I had some control over the information. Well, and let's be honest, Brian, while you've compared it to a pizza app for a very simple label, if a pizza does not arrive on time, I think one of the pizza companies give you the pizza or something, right? Okay. So that's the consequence is $8 cost pizza. The consequence, without getting into names of your clients, or if you have a client that has an aerospace industry project that is most likely in the billions, because nothing is cheap anymore, right? And you're a components manufacturer and it does not arrive on time, or there's challenges with their process calendar and production schedule. Those are huge. I mean, millions of dollars a day is not, that may even be an understatement. It might be 10, 20, 30 millions. Right? So yeah, I think it's very important to, when we started this, we wanted to make sure that we had accurate information, that we were communicating correctly, right? And making sure that our clients felt good about the information they receive. And then we go back to that relationship aspect. We're talking to them, we're speaking to them truth that is valuable to them on a consistent basis. That's a relationship builder that should help you retain customers for maybe the next 137 years. Right. I won't be here, but that's a different story. Right. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Brian, you have been involved in manufacturing for a long time. Came up to your family business. I worked with your father. You've been on factory floors at very large companies, $500 million of revenue, smaller, mid-sized manufacturers. Let's talk a little bit about, there's machinery, there's processes, but we still live in a people world. It's about getting people to move things forward. Can you maybe talk about that? And I think it's especially important for our younger listeners to understand that. And I'll give you a quick key up for this. When I went to business school, the internet was going to change everything. We weren't going to meet in person. Everything was going to, the internet was going to change it all. And it did. However, we still go to trade shows. I'm still in New York today. I'm not at home, or in my home office or whatever. People are still doing business because of relationships and people are getting things done in factories because of people. Maybe talk about how we need to understand that and balance it as we enter this AI revolution. All I know is factory right. Yeah, you can't make
things without people you can try. I've tried. I mean, I've tried robotic sewing.
Sure.
And I made more off quality than you would ever imagine.
Sure.
Uh, and that was some years ago, and maybe it's better today. But at the end of the day in factories, and we recently have some new equipment come in. It's electronic. We can tie it into the web.
Sure.
It does not run itself. And didn't happen. Things break.
Sure.
If they do not fix them, it can tell you lots of things. The machines don't all fix themselves.
Sure.
They're easier. Yeah. One thing where we are in manufacturing, it may be easier to train on. Maybe a screen tells you what's going on. You still need someone to do something.
Sure.
You still need people to put hand on something and use their fingers and eyes and the most important part is to think it through.
Sure.
Right. And there's some interesting stuff out there with AI.
Sure.
And I'm watching it. There's some, training that is, there's some virtual training available. It's interesting. But when it comes down day to day in a factory, it's still people, and that's kind of my MO.
Sure.
You're as good as your people, and having smart people in the factory making good decisions is irreplaceable.
When as a COO, your role is to get people to ask the right questions. Maybe you ask the right questions yourself, get them to ask the questions because you're not going to know all the answers or have all the expertise.
I am the least knowledgeable person in my company.
Sure.
And that's how I approach my work, and that's how I approach it everywhere that I've worked. I don't have the answer, but I'm supposed to. Right. And we talk about this briefly, right? But the my approach in manufacturing is to ask a lot of questions. And that's my trick, right? So and everybody comes to me, stuff breaks. This has not been a good week, but every week is there's something else. There's always problems. There's always problems in manufacturing. Some are bigger than others. Everyone comes to me for an answer, and I'm the least knowledgeable person. But the answer, I always view every problem as something that I can learn from. Maybe we can prevent in the future. But the answer is within the people that are working on the floor and know how things work. And so I always approach every problem by asking a lot of questions of my team and my people. And they had the answer. The answer is within them. It's just trying to talk it through.
I love that the answer is within them. And I think early in my career, I always tried to have the answer and be that source of truth. And then I realized, number one, even if I did know the answer, it was better to get the team to figure it out so they would stop coming to me for that. Like, what do you think it is? Like, come back and sort it out. So,
And I drop everything. I will drop everything to solve the problem or help solve the problem. So I'm a facilitator, right? And but I love the learning aspect. I love that. That's what I love about my job. Is I am learning something new every day, and that's the challenge of life. As I sure did, right? Is that's what makes life worth it. Like it, right?
we have to be intellectually curious. And I think, what the new things always fascinate me, could change fascinates me. Sometimes it's difficult to contend with, especially the speed of the rate of change is like, especially right, what's happening with AI right now, right, different revolutions. But after all, I think we'd be bored. and our minds would get soft. So it's good to contend with these challenges on a consistent basis. I know I've tried to be a good leader for our company and be the least knowledgeable the least knowledgeable person in the room when our team gets together. But I think I'm doing the job because I think everybody in our organization now thinks I know nothing. So I'm winning, right? At the minute, like as a leader, I'm winning the battle.
Right. And I'll be the first to say, I don't know, but yeah, that's okay. Let's figure it out. And that's part of the fun. Right.
So one of the next things we're talking about, and I've been wrestling with a little bit, is how do we deal with AI in a very narrow definition with being online, being found online, because now we're moving from that maybe the configurator to we now have to have a configurator and information that LLMs will engage with and extract information, because sophisticated buyers, and we're seeing this adoption increase every day, are not going to surf the web. They're going to follow the prompt and RQ and put some parameters in based on what they're looking for and expect the LLMs to go out and contrast, compare, research, is it ISO, all these different things. And if you're not communicating that online to the LLMs, through what they call multimodal touch points, you're going to be at a disadvantage to your client. So we're all trying to figure that new thing out, right? Because that's kind of just newer in the past 12 to 18 months, that conversation. But yeah, that's, I think, something that's really important for us to grapple with next and understand. And what are you seeing in that space?
For us, I feel like we're gonna have to put more information in our website and our online presence. But I don't know. I'm curious to figure that out. Yes. And we'll have to be careful about that. But yeah, it's gonna be a challenge.
It is a challenge for niche manufacturers with a significant IP. There's no two ways about it. We have to give enough information to inform our buyers. We cannot give away our IP to competitors, to the market. And so it is a balancing act. And I think it's something that none of us have the answer to yet, but we're working through it, trying to figure it out together. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out over the next several years and how we can continue to build relationships, delight buyers and our customers, but also protect who we are and our core information.
Yeah, and the other thing, I just came out of a meeting with one of our largest raw material supplier, and I ended the meeting telling him that we need to be closer as a team. His goal is to sell more raw material.
Sure.
And he gets judged by that. And I believe that there had to be more coordination. He wants to know what my forecast is for 2026 and 2027. Right? And we have some visibility, but it's almost impossible. It's a bet at best. I've told him about our change in our sales strategy, in-house sales, technical in-house sales, are trying to get closer to our customers. And I tell him we're better at the team, and if he wants to, me and his company need to figure this out. And I think that's where AI is going to take it. Yes, where our information is our information, but maybe connecting our information with our suppliers' information. I mean, we're all after kind of the same goal. We want to sell more and keep. My goal is always keep my workers working so that they can go buy groceries and whatever. They have a family. My first boss out of college brought me into his office early in my first few weeks of work out of college, and he taught me the best lesson probably I've ever heard, uh, that has stuck with me, is that, Brian, what you do affects the way I feed my family. And he's absolutely right.
Sure.
And I approach my work like that. I want to make sure that my work family is being fed, right?
When I'm sure as a young man,
Did you have a family at that point in time?
no. Okay. So those words were probably very, impactful.
Mm-hmm.
Then whenever you got married and had children,
I get it.
you
get it, right? It's a totally different ballgame, right? And I had screwed up. I mean, he was right,
sure.
right? And he had his career to look after, and I was sure, but he was right. And so, but I think back to AI, I think there's something into expanding your team and sharing more information, or trying to coordinate your information with your supply chain.
We are seeing companies that have identified similar ideas and are trying, and it's speed the market, it's better information, it's more complete information, so that we can, whatever the value chain is, right, or whatever the supply chain is, if you can align yourself with your raw material suppliers, and then they can align with their raw material suppliers, and we can communicate the best value,
Our unique value proposition, our niche, the features and benefits, those type of things. Because I can even see, just like
doing my thinking here. If an engineer contacts you with an opportunity, they've titled on the website, and they're like, okay, here's what we're trying to do. Your team might not have all the answers. You might have to have your experts talk to experts at a raw material supplier, plus maybe a chemical supplier, plus all these team members to develop that answer.
And if we can do that at a higher speed, so there's those cost layers that we talked about before, there's absolutely value to that. And our product, the product we make, we're probably 2 or 3 levels removed from the end customer. Where our product gets impregnated with rubbers, or whether different applications, things that are put on it, or cut to certain size and inserted into whatever devices. We're several layers removed. But I think it's the entire chain. The challenge is getting the trust of those companies on either side, in our instance, on either side of it,
Sure.
that are willing to share information and work together. And of course, Stern Engineer Web and Substrates may be the most secretive company of them all. But if we're a COO, if we're willing, we're going to have to look at coordinating some information and making it as detailed and valuable as possible to whoever the end user is.
And I think that you just hit the nail on the head as far as what is the evaluation tool. If we're providing more value to our end user, so like, you're not making fabrics that make my shirt. Like, is there components that go into very complex industrial or hogs of industry? But if you're providing value to that engineer and you increase your value to them, you will win more business. I think that's the hypothesis. And I think we're going to prove it out more and more, because AI is going to strip layers of data and demand speed to market. If you can't get the answer to that engineer quickly, they will want, even if it's not as good of an answer, it's just faster.
Right.
So,
our back to consumers, our patience is destroyed, right? Yeah. And it's great.
yes, great. Yeah, it's not the best to wait when we used to for certain things. And there's certain things we probably need to learn more patience for, but in other ways, it's good to get things quickly and do them quickly. Well, Brian, this has been a fantastic conversation, and we really appreciate you taking the time We know, as you and I talked yesterday, is there ever a good time in manufacturing to take an hour or two and have a conversation with Thursday now? Because yesterday I'm on the boat with you, and you're a big machine just broke in half, and I have to deal with this. And as we were walking into the studio today,
The tool to fix the machine just broke. Right.
yeah, another day in the life, right?
It is. It's another day in the life, but that's the joy of it too.
Yeah, that it's good to figure these things out, to be presented with these challenges. But we appreciate
We appreciate the great testimonial earlier. Full disclosure, I did not pay Brian for that testimonial
earlier in the conversation. But no, we've enjoyed the relationship with Certain Engineered Woven Substrates. You and Peter Thornton have been complete gentlemen to work with, and we appreciate it.
We appreciate working with manufacturers of really technical products. We feel we bring something to that conversation and add value. At least that's measured, I think, for us by me of clients for 9-10 years.
I think we're 1 in 6 or 7 with you guys, and so those things are rewarding for us to see as your organization develops and as our organization develops alongside that, alongside it.
We appreciate this, the marketing, and so you have the knowledge behind it. The manufacturing is something different. Sure. But it's been a really good relationship. Thank you. Well, Brian, thanks again for coming out today, and we really appreciate your insights on
Manufacturing, AI, consumer behavior, and I think most importantly, the way we need to consume pizza and how we want to deal with pizza ordering and fulfillment.
right. Hey, look at pizza.
Yeah, let's go. Thank you for joining the Missing App podcast, where we're discovering what's missing in manufacturing, B2B marketing, AI, and today, pizza. Like, share, subscribe. Have a great day.